Hello, everyone, and welcome to Bridges of Belief. Today's episode is going to be a heavier one. By the time of recording, it's been 4 days since Charlie Kirk, a conservative influencer and also a Christian. It's been 4 days since he was tragically assassinated while engaging in a debate at a university in Utah. From what we know so far, it appears he was killed because someone disagreed with his beliefs. And over the past few years, we've seen our world become more increasingly polarized. People identify more strongly with the right or with the left. And with that polarization comes rising vilification, hostility, and tragically escalating violence, as we have seen with the assassination of Charlie Kirk. So today, we want to explore a different path. We want to talk about how we can disagree with each other constructively, how we can disagree with each other in love, and how we can engage with people who hold different views from us without tearing each other down, and how we as Christians can set the example of radical love even for those we profoundly disagree with. So join me, Poya, and my two lovely co-hosts, Jess and Kevin, as we explore how can we do disagreements better. So guys, I guess to start us off, what kind of inspired this episode was, the assassination of Charlie Kirk. I guess like what are your feelings? How did you feel when you first heard about it? What are your initial feelings about it? Why do you think this happened?
Well, when I first heard about it, it was from an American an American acquaintance on Facebook that I went to Hillsong College with many years ago, and it was when he'd just been shot and they were still trying to save his life. And I was like, oh my goodness, and I didn't realize he'd had two small children under 3 or 4 or something, really similar ages to my own children. So just the part of me that's also a parent really felt for Charlie. I'd only just gotten into his work. I'd listened to one debate he did called Surrounded, where it's him in the middle, surrounded by, for him it was university students that were disagreeing with him on all sorts of stuff. And I was very impressed with the way he respectfully argued with all these, debated all these university students. And I thought, wow, if this man loses his life, it will be really unfair. It would be a great loss for the world.
You thought that when you watched it?
No. When I heard the news
that
he'd been shot.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
And then I saw the next clips on social media that he'd actually died, and I was like, what? No, I thought we still had time to save his life. We were praying into it. And it was pretty devastating. And a few of my clients have messaged me saying that they cried. Like some of them had been crying that whole day when they'd heard the news on September. For us, it was September 13. No, 11.
It was 11 for us, I think.
September 11
10
for
the
us.
US, yeah.
Yeah. It was September 12th, actually.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
There we go, September.
Yeah. It was pretty devastating to hear because, and then I'd wish that I'd immersed myself more in his work so I understood him better or I knew him better, because I know that he's a man of God, like he loves Jesus, but it's so much more than that. He actually went to war every day for the word of God. And I know I saw probably what everyone else has seen, the YouTube shorts of him defending an embryo's life to have human rights, just as any adult human has as well, or the stuff about is college a waste of time or a waste of money and stuff like that. And he's not college educated, which was very shocking to me. And the guy was only 31, like the same age as you guys. Yeah. I'm 37, but he's 31 years old and he'd achieved so much in his life. And I was like, wow, this guy is very useful and impactful for the kingdom of God. And for him to be taken so soon was devastating. Absolutely devastating. And if one man can be killed for his opinions, what does that say about the state of our society, and how do we as Christians model something different? Because I don't know, there's part of me that is we can disagree respectfully, and this is how we constructively disagree with each other, and we can come to some sort of consensus. And another part of me is maybe sometimes violence is warranted. I don't know. It's a really scary thing for me to say, but there's some other stories in my head that I won't share now, but pretty devastating stuff.
Yeah, very devastating. Or do you want me to give my perspective? Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, firstly, thank you for sharing, Jess. Yeah, I feel you on a lot of that. I only just got into him a week before he died. Yeah, but I'll go more into my sort of reaction after you share, Kevin.
Cool.
Yeah.
So someone told me, and I was like, Charlie Kirk, who's that guy? And when I saw the image of who this guy was, I was like, oh, this guy. This guy. They shot this guy. And then I watched the actual video of it happening. And I don't know why we were just talking about this off camera. You see shootings all the time on TV and movies and TV shows, but when you really see it happen, you know it's a real video. It just impacts you in a completely different way. And I remember I got on the phone with you and just to process everything. And from there till watching the video of his wife give his eulogy, there's been a whirlwind of emotions that I've gone on. I've basically been in like a Charlie Kirk rabbit hole for the last 4 days, and I think many other people probably have. And there's so many different perspectives. You know, people are bringing conspiracies. People are saying it's because of this. People are saying this is what should happen. The internet has gone mental over this death. And for me, when I saw the image of him with his kids, it just it hit me. Like it hit me that, yes, this is 2 kids that are going to be left without a father. And they're going to know the story, and they're going to probably even at some point watch the video of their dad dying in that way. It's insane. Yeah. So it started off with me having that intense reaction, and then it's gone through different kind of perspectives. And one of the perspectives I've kind of ended up with now, and there's different parts of it is like, okay, then I got angry at the woke, and I was like, oh man, it's the woke who did this. And then we find out the shooter is like a conservative or something. So I went through all these different emotions. And then now I actually see, after his wife gave a eulogy, I see the purpose potentially, and this is a very difficult thing to say, like, of course we're grieving his death. And I think Christians have felt this death as if it was like a family member in our own family. And I don't understand why. I don't understand why everyone is feeling that way. But we do feel that way. And then when his wife got up and shared, and she said something, she goes, we will carry on his legacy. And she said it with such intensity that I was like, that's the reason behind this. Because if you look at the Bible, Paul was martyred. John the Baptist had his head taken off. Peter was crucified upside down. And the gospel spread because of that. So I'm starting to now see the bigger purpose of why God actually had this. Not God had it happen, but God allowed this. So that's kind of the evolution of what I kind of felt. But anyway, I probably went on and on. So
no,
anyway,
not at all. Thank you both for sharing. Yeah, I have a lot of similar feelings to you guys. When I first heard about Charlie Kirk, I just made the assumption he's another typical right-wing influencer guy who I may agree with some things on, I may disagree with some things on. I think over the years I've become more open-minded to both sides of politics, and I would say right now I don't identify with either side. I've usually always been a bit more left-leaning. I really don't think I align with either now, especially after this happened. Really, wow. I think I really evaluate some stuff, and I'm like, I'm actually pretty right-wing in a lot of areas. I'm also really left-wing in a lot of other areas, and I don't.
It's very rare.
I don't even know if I think the binary is helpful, but we can go into that later. But I had this assumption. I think I found him frustrating at first because I've always had this frustration of Christianity being politicized for either side of the political binary. Right. I've had a frustration with this idea that because someone's conservative, they're Christian, or even when people go overboard with social justice, which isn't bad. I'm all for social justice. I'm actually really for social justice. But when that becomes the only thing that's important about the Christian faith, and it's both sides of figuring the bigger picture, which is Jesus, and then it flows into those other things. So I think the Bible has a lot of things that align with both sides. That's my personal view. And I'm happy to be challenged on that. That's kind of the idea of this whole episode. But yeah, I think I just found it frustrating. I wasn't even sure if Charlie Kirk was good for Christianity, to be honest, because I thought it was perpetuating this idea that Christianity is this right-wing religion.
Okay.
Yeah, but I remember I watched his Jubilee video the week before he was assassinated. I want to make it clear that he was assassinated, not just passed away. I don't want to I don't want to sugarcoat it. And I was really impressed. I thought he was quite diplomatic, quite kind. Maybe a few times he got triggered, but of course you're going to when you're being attacked. I thought people were unnecessarily cruel to him. There was one girl who, after discussing abortion with him, said she hopes his daughter gets away from him. And
gosh.
I think part of me was originally like, this, how could she say that? But I think that, especially after this has happened, and I'll get into that more of that later, but I was like, this person, like, I don't know what this girl's gone through. Not that what she did was right, but she's just a kid. And so I tried not to let my anger overtake me on that. But yeah, I found that really rude to say to someone. Then a week later, he passed away. So his daughter won't really have that broke my heart. That was in my mind constantly. And I was really impressed by him. And I'm probably anti-nationalism, but I watched a video where he talked about a biblical case for nationalism, and I can respect that his opinion was formed by an understanding of the Bible. I have a lot of respect for people who I disagree with that can back themselves up with scripture, because I know that they're coming from an authentic place.
Yeah.
For me, I'd rather that than someone I agree with who isn't basing their opinion on scripture. So Charlie was someone whose political opinions I probably most of my a significant number I disagree with, gun control, but I respected the logic he had, and I respected how he went about going about debates and conversations, and I was really interested to see more of him. I did some reading on him after the Jubilee video, and then I remember waking up like at 5:30 a.m. just went to Instagram. George Jenko posted praying for Charlie and his family. My heart's broken. I was like, oh, what happened? Do you have cancer or something? He's been shot. I'm like, oh, okay. I'm like, surely he's fine, right? It's not gonna. And then, he passed away, and I was like, crap. Okay, all right. And I'm getting ready for work. I'm like, what does this mean for the world? That's horrible. This guy has kids. Like, he's dead. Like, what? Like, I only just
on live television.
Yeah, it was like, people videoed it. The video is available online. Please do not watch the video. I watched a bit of it, and then I immediately got out. It was just so like, it's just not. Yeah, my morbid curiosity got the better of me, unfortunately, and I need to repent for that. And I do. But yeah,
it's for that as well.
Kevin did show me the video.
I kind of was like,
but I chose to watch it as well, so I need to take responsibility too. But
I have not seen the video.
Don't do it.
Don't do it.
I think it should be scrubbed off the internet. I don't think it needs to be on the. It should be completely scrubbed off, because his kids should never see that video, nor his wife. But yeah, I was heartbroken and I was angry, and this is and I think my initial instinct was like, okay, screw the left, screw the work. I never was that guy, and then I thought more about it, and I'm like, where are we at in society, right? We are so polarized. We're so quick, and both sides do this. I've done this. I'm sure you guys both have. We've done this on this podcast. Let's be real. We've had conversations about that.
Oh, we do it all the time, Poya.
And it made me think about political tribalism and how we're in echo chambers and how we're just like, we're so ready to assume the worst in people.
Yeah.
And it just got me, and this goes into my next point. It's this idea of othering.
Yeah.
And that's what I want to talk about next, and our own blind spot, because I was so quick to just like, for a few moments, just like, F the left, F the woke, let's go hard on them, even though I'm not even right wing.
That's basically, that's
what
that was my reaction.
Like, let's go to war. Like, maybe I'll start becoming more right wing, just purely out of anger, just to spite. And it turns out the guy wasn't even like really a leftist. He was just some dumb kid who was isolated, played video games.
It's so confusing for me. What was his motive?
And that's the thing. And this is the thing. And that's the thing. With that, we don't know people. We don't really know what makes people tick. We don't know what they've been through. So that girl who said to Charlie Kirk, I hope your daughter gets away from you. She was obviously triggered by what he said. And it doesn't justify what she did. But we don't know what she went through. And that was really humbling for me to... Because I can be very quick to judge people. Kevin, you've helped me deal with that. But it made me think a lot about the times where I've othered someone. And I've done this on the pod with Anglicans and Pentecostals, and I want to apologize for that. And yeah, I guess my question to you guys, in light of all of this, where have you guys done this? And I want this to be a chance for us to be vulnerable and to be real with people, because I think the first part of the conversation starts here.
Oh, that's brilliant. Brilliant, Poya. Brilliant points that you've brought up. Just before you get into it, can you define othering?
Okay, so for example, just like... Okay, I'm going to use an example of something you said, which I don't even think was that bad, but it's just an example.
Yeah.
When you're like, Charlie Kirk would piss off a lot of... If he pissed me off as someone who's right wing, that's what you said. Imagine if he pissed off the work. Oh, that's not a good example. No, sorry. Let me rephrase. I think othering is where you kind of put people in a box and you say they're separate from us. And I think both the right and the left do that to each other. So a lot of people call Charlie Kirk a fascist. I know people personally who called him that on my Facebook feed.
Right.
Yeah.
And then I'm sure they've never watched any of his long form content.
Yeah.
But it's like, he disagrees with me. He's like complete separate. He's a fascist. He's a Nazi.
Yeah. We just kind of put people
Which is
in
ironic because
boxes.
he's pro-Israel. So how can he be a Nazi? But
Yeah, like just put people in a box.
or like,
really
yeah, everyone who's pro-choice wants to murder babies, or everyone who's pro-life wants to control women and doesn't care about women's rights to their own bodies, or, it's where you put. I guess it's where you put people in a box. Unless, do you have another way of is there maybe a better way to define it?
I just have a definition here.
Yeah.
Mentally classifying people as enemies or less than. But it's exactly what you said. Putting them in a box.
Yeah.
Treating them as separate from us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Less than, for sure. And look, just to be vulnerable, yeah, absolutely. Me and you, half our arguments that we have is about me putting you into the box, and I'm like, nah, Poya, this is you, or this was your agenda, or this was, assuming things. I do it so much that I can't even come up with examples. Like, I do it all the time. I do it with my wife. I do it with you. I have done it with my clients. I have said, this is this type of client and this is the problem. Like, they're doing it because of this reason. Like, we assume things, we put people in boxes. I did that as well. Immediately, my first reaction was, it's the work. Let's go to war with the work, destroy them. And then I was like, I realized quickly how stupid that actually was. You know what I mean? And how Jesus doesn't call us to do that. Jesus actually calls us to love no matter what. That's actually the thing that's going to heal this entire, situation. But it's probably not going to happen. You know what I mean? But, I think we all put people into boxes and we all judge so quickly.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I'm a little bit, I think, because I've spent many years as a decade as a social worker, and in our practice, it's all about like learning the person's story, about narrative therapy, and I just kind of think the human brain needs to categorize. Like, we need to categorize for convenience, for safety, in order to understand people, groups of people. I don't think it's wrong to say all Asians have black hair, because not all Asians have black hair, but majority of us are born with black hair. It's okay to say that. I think there's utility in categorization. I think that there's I think it would be foolish to not categorize. I think where it needs to open up is if you just stop there, right? Like, all Asians have black hair, and there is never a chance for them to dye their hair another color. I know it's a really silly example, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. I think the whole like the othering thing, probably I talked about polarization with you boys in our meeting, because doing a bit of research on polarization, where it comes from, why people do it, and I think like with America, like the Americans treat the vote as voluntary. It's non-compulsory to vote in the US, which then leans more towards violent eruptions, because they then create really, 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 really passionate groups, right? So if you don't have to vote, the only people who will vote are the ones who are really passionate about one side or the other.
Absolutely.
Whereas in Australia,
So highly polarized individuals are usually the ones that are voting.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Whereas the people who don't care, they're not going to vote.
Yeah.
They don't have to vote. They're not required by law to vote.
So you get this highly charged political landscape.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Which then leads to this sort of stuff, right? Like the violence against the other group.
Yeah.
Whereas in Australia, with voting being compulsory, it then, people who are kind of uninformed voters have to vote, and that's maybe a little bit scary, but at least there are centrist voters. And also, I never thought of it this way, but in my research, I was looking at how, say, like we're voting between Labor and Liberal, right? Just as an example. Labor and Liberal, because the vote is compulsory, they're not going to be like really intensely one way or the other. They're going to try to appeal to as many people as possible.
Yep.
Right? So they're in the way they promote their policies to try and get more voters on their side, they're going to be a bit more centrist in what they market as their policies. Does that make sense?
Because it's not compulsory, so they want to attract them. Yeah.
Well,
there's
it is
more-
compulsory.
Sorry, it is compulsory, so they want to
Yeah.
attract more people because there's not going to be as many polarized. As
Yeah.
in, there's probably a higher percentage of people who aren't as polarized
Yeah.
that will vote. Is that kind of what you mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, they have to vote because they're Australian and it's by law we have to
Yeah.
vote.
Yeah.
But you know how there was like all that stuff about on Facebook and how, you know, Facebook are using your data to see if you're a swing voter versus whether you're a Republican or a Democrat. There's all that stuff about, you know,
Yeah.
they're seeing whether they can influence you in some way, whether they can pump your algorithm with more stuff about Trump or more stuff about Hillary or when that happened.
Oh, yeah, the Cambridge Analytica thing.
Cambridge
yeah,
Analytica
that's
thing.
it, yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, I don't know. It was just quite interesting to me to see where polarization comes from, and then like is it a matter of removing it from policy to make the vote compulsory now for America? Is that like an action point that they can take?
I was thinking to myself, like, why don't they probably do that? Because that they should have done that ages ago. But I was like, no, but they're probably not doing it because think of the effort that it is to set that up. Think of the effort.
I think it's also a cultural thing.
land
Americans
of the
are
free.
the land of the free,
Yeah.
and I think that's the whole guns thing, right? That's one area I really disagree with Charlie Kirk on, but I understood his logic because for Americans, having access to guns, from my understanding, ensures that they can protect themselves against a tyrannical government. And that's why they have that as the Second Amendment.
Yep.
And so it doesn't really make much sense now, I think, when the government has drones with guns attached to it, whatever. But
Right.
when there was muskets and stuff like that, yeah, that made sense. And so I can see why that's so important to them. So in the same way, the freedom, the ability to choose the vote, I can see Americans like protesting for that, protesting that because it's going against their national identity, which is having independence and freedom. America's the land of the free, as you said, Jess. And I wonder if that's why it's so polarized, particularly because there's such an intense... But I feel Australia is just as polarized. Not just, but is quite polarized too.
Same more.
So let me just grab my water bottle.
Oh yeah. Oh no, the
That's all right. I know
where did the big glass bottle go? Oh yeah. Parched.
Refreshing. H2O, sponsored by Bridges of Belief. I mean, the Bridges of Belief sponsored by H2O. So I was on Facebook. There's a pastor I'm friends with, like Facebook friends, haven't spoken to him in years. Good guy though, won't name him though. And he posted about the whole Charlie Kirk thing. Very diplomatic post, very just like non-inflammatory. It was just like pretty much something along the lines of whether you're right or left, we can all agree this was a horrible thing.
Yeah.
And I'd say he's quite centrist. And people were like calling him a liberal Christian and all this stuff. He even posted about the anti-immigration rally.
Wow.
And said, which something like about how the drunken Anglos across the road from him, who were at the rally, he would happily trade them for more Southeast Asian immigrants.
Wow.
Which I'm like, fair enough. Yeah. That's his area and there's not usually drunken people like that. And he's like, yeah, no, he has a lot of migrants in his church. Yeah. And people attacked him. Wow. And he was trying to engage in genuine, like, good faith discussion. And he was very diplomatic, very Charlie Kirk-esque, actually.
Okay.
But people calling him a liberal Christian, he's denying the word of God. There's a pastor, look, I'll just name him. I don't know him personally. He's big on social media. I think it's Andrew Cedra.
Oh yeah.
I'm not a fan of him.
I've heard of him.
He's a pastor, but I think he talks more about how evil woke is more than who Jesus is.
Yeah.
And look, there's some things I agree with him on, but yeah, I think I think he goes too far down that personally. And he was talking about Tim Keller, and he described Tim Keller as a liberal Christian. And if any of you are familiar with Tim Keller, he's the furthest thing from a liberal Christian. He's like a very like biblically conservative, he's unfortunately passed away, biblically conservative pastor who really like everything he said was backed by scripture.
He's not even allowed to defend himself.
Exactly. And Andrew Cedra said that. And I'm like,
oh no, Cedra,
no. Yeah. And it's just like, bro, have you and it's that whole thing of like, because Tim Keller doesn't agree with him, he's another. But here's the interesting thing.
Oh.
I did that to Andrew Cedra.
Okay.
Because I hated this guy for years. And I would be like, this guy's a clown.
Wow.
Screw him.
Yeah.
I listened to an interview.
Sure you don't mean Andrew Tate? No, I'm joking.
Nah. I don't hate anyone.
I'm joking. Yeah.
But I'm not a fan of Tate either. But Andrew Cedra was doing an interview with Ruslan, who's a Christian influencer, great guy.
We know Ruslan,
Yeah, Ruslan's awesome. Check him out, listeners. He's so good. And he talked about growing up in Egypt, where they would risk getting bombed by going to church. They would line up to church, and there was always a risk of getting bombed.
Wow.
And they had no rights
Is
as
this the
Christians.
Campbelltown guy?
Yeah.
Oh.
He's originally from Egypt, right? And Christians are like, it's from what I've heard, are quite, oppressed over there.
Right.
Wow.
And he was like, yeah, I had to risk like my life to go to church. And so for him coming to Australia, I finally understood. Of course, he's going to be so triggered by anything that's even slightly like, like how Christians struggle. Like a lot of Christians struggle with the doctrine of like homosexual acts being sinful and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Of course, that would trigger him. Because for him, it's like, I had to like risk my life to be a Christian. And you're thinking of like modifying your beliefs just because it makes you uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So I
Come on,
understood.
man. Yeah.
I understood where he was coming from, even though I don't agree. But I judged him and I was like, I get it. I think with his trauma, what he's been through, of course he's going to react like that.
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing. It's like, that takes me to my next point. Is I think I want to get your guys' perspective first before I share my thing. But there's a way to practice better disagreements, and I have a thought on that. But what are your guys' thoughts on that? How do we practice better disagreements? What are the steps?
Well, just like you said, that everyone comes from a story, so it's very. We could be very quick to judge and go, oh, that person has this life and that life, and they shouldn't have done this and that, and then their story, and you're like, oh, okay, judgment withdrawn. I'm not going to judge you then. So Brené Brown likes to say, this is like years ago, she was saying this in one of her books, but if we met everyone in person, shook their hand and heard their story, we wouldn't be as judgmental, right? Like the person that is the keyboard warrior, we suddenly meet them, face to face in a meetup, and we're sharing a meal together, we would not be as judgy. Like I'd probably, even though I'm really, really not, probably not into the woke stuff at all, if I met a trans person, I could probably hit it off with them in a conversation. Like we'd probably vibe. But I probably wouldn't be their friend long term just because the values are so different. I've got to be honest about that. But it doesn't mean that I couldn't have a nice conversation with a trans person. But in terms of like, how do we navigate a better disagreement? I guess wanting to hear someone's story, connecting with them, seeking to understand, not to win, and humanizing people and not putting them in a box or labeling them. That's what I think.
Yeah.
How about you?
Yeah. I think it is cultivating a habit of constantly being aware of where you do the same thing that you judge in someone else. That's it.
Okay.
That's it. That's
Tell
all
me
it is. So, for example, the amount of times that I've judged someone and then gone back and gone, but hang on, I do that too. Like the amount of times that I've put someone, but like, oh man, I can't believe that they acted like this. They're just so one-sided. And I was like, oh, but I've been one-sided. So the person who is able to recognize that what they see in someone else is also within themselves, they have this mindset that can agree with people in a much better way. Do you know what I'm saying? Like the people who think, oh, the way he thinks, I can never think like that, because that's so beneath me. If they look down on people in that way, they will never be able to see eye to eye with them. Do you know what I'm trying to say here?
Do you have an example, like, or have you experienced that personally yourself?
Yeah, like how do I say? I'm not getting an example right now, but not getting an example, but basically my point is when you're disagreeing, the reason why it clashes in that moment, the reason why the disagreement goes really bad is because you're judging and you're putting that person down. And you think to yourself, like the views that they have or who they are or what they stand for, I could never stand for something like that. You know what I mean? But if you recognize that, like essentially Yeah, I'll have to formulate my point better. It's
No, I hear.
yeah,
You, I hear.
yeah.
I'm just thinking like, what's a good example of that? Because I actually,
Yeah, there's a lot of.
I
good
actually have one
examples.
for
Yeah.
you, but I want to share one. But I want you
Go
to
for it. Go for it. Yeah, go for it.
Ah.
Because then it'll spark my mind.
Is it like putting yourself in their shoes?
Yeah. That's a
Yeah.
better way of thinking of it. Yeah. That's
But
a much
like
better.
the DiMartini
Cliches.
thing, though, right?
Yeah.
Do you want to explain that for the audience? Because I think that's a really interesting thing to think about. Because when you shared that with me, I think that's when I really started realizing how judgmental I was. And I've actually, whenever I judge someone, I would notice it. But I want you, if you could you share for the audience what that whole principle is?
So the principle that me and Poya are talking about right now is that at any point, whenever there's a disagreement, we are basically lifting ourselves up in pride and looking down on the person and telling ourselves that what we see in them, we don't have in us. For example, the reason why I can't forgive Hitler is because I'll say to myself, what Hitler did, man, I would never do that. That's what people do. Oh, Hitler, he's disgusting what he did. I hate him. I could never forgive him. But it's like, if you recognize that, and I always say this, if I was in Hitler's position, if I was at that time, if I went through his experiences, I don't know how I'd respond.
Yeah, 100%.
So if I can see that the same evil that's in Hitler is also within me, then it's easy for me to forgive him. And the same in any type of disagreement that we speak to someone with. Like if I can recognize that what I see in them is also within myself, then I can not judge them, and I can come to a place where I'm not kind of putting them down, and I can disagree in a better way. Yeah.
I have a great example of that with
Yeah.
Charlie Kirk. I have a great example of that with Charlie Kirk that I just noticed, but I just want to find the actual quote.
Perfect.
So just give me, it's here we go. I think it's here. So I'm just gonna get this quote up. Okay, here we go. So Charlie Kirk once said this, and just to be fair to him, there is context around this. And he was saying, and I'll get into after I share the quote. He said, "I can't stand the word empathy, actually.
Wow.
I think empathy is a made-up New Age term that it does a lot of damage." Now, he goes on to say how compassion and sympathy is better because with empathy, it's like you're saying you're in someone's shoes, but how do you know? Because you're not actually in that position. So there's actually like context around that. It wasn't from a malicious place. I went on Facebook and on Reddit, which was a terrible idea, but I was very curious to see what people would say. And so many people, there were people who posted about Charlie Kirk, right? Like rest in peace. And then people would post just an image of that quote, right?
Right.
And then they'd say, "Oh, I feel no empathy for this guy." There's other comments like, "Yeah, he didn't have empathy for anyone else." So what has happened is it's exactly what you said, Kevin. It's exactly what you said. They resent him for not having empathy. Yet they themselves don't have empathy for him.
Yes.
And someone else even commented and said, "You're literally proving him right."
Yeah.
And that was crazy to me.
Wow, what a mic drop comment.
Yeah, it's like you're proving Charlie Kirk right by saying that.
Yeah.
Like,
That's full on.
if you value empathy, you're always empathetic, and so they resent the fact that he didn't believe in empathy because they couldn't own in themselves that they don't believe in it too because it's selective.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
True empathy is for everyone,
Yep.
and I just found that so heartbreaking, but so fascinating as well.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
brilliant example, Poya. And I think that when we have that foundation of, like I'm on the same level as this guy, I'm not better than him or I'm not better than her because they have this thing that I don't have, that lays the foundation for having a disagreement in a respectful way. Because a lot of the time, like you'll see this a lot in Charlie Kirk's video. Like a woke person will come, and let's just say this woke person comes in the form of a transgender person, right? And they're wearing all these like, their pink hair, and they've got all these like pink fur, and they're just, they're wearing something that's like pretty like, pretty out there.
Sure.
Okay, and you see all this all the time, and then they'll come there and they'll be like, like I can't believe that you don't back up things with proper arguments, right? And they're putting him down, they're judging him like you don't back up things with proper arguments. And if you watch the videos, they don't even Like they don't even back up why they say that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Absolutely,
if
absolutely.
they saw within themselves that whatever I'm judging in Charlie Kirk or anybody else, I have within myself,
Yeah.
now I can argue in a better way.
Yeah.
Now I can disagree in a way where I'm like, oh, okay, I'm not any better than this person. And they're not so emotionally polarized.
Yeah.
The emotional polarization comes from me looking down at people
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
putting them
true.
in a pit and putting myself, lifting myself up on a pedestal and putting
Yeah.
them in a pit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true.
So that yeah, and it always happens. It's you're able to forgive someone when we're able to see that what you see in them is also within yourself. Yeah.
It reminds me of Matthew 7. I think it's Matthew 7 where it's take the plank out of your own eye before you take the speck out of your neighbor's eye. Yeah, so I'm so with you there.
You will be judged in the same measure that you judge.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that's and I think that's what happened in that comment section when they were saying we don't have any empathy. Someone just replied and said, "You're literally proving him right."
Wow. Can I just add some meat to this? The Carnegie Endowment, which is like a think tank in Washington, D.C. So they do like all this research
Is
that
this Dale Carnegie?
informs policy. No, Andrew actually.
Oh, okay.
He founded it
his
in
dad.
1910. Yeah. No, it's that as polarization rises, the risk of political violence also rises, which is pretty scary. Pew Research shows Americans don't just disagree on policy. Many believe the other side lives in a different reality with different facts. I have to admit, I actually would think this a lot of the time. Like as in, like for example, I'm not a feminist. Everyone knows that about me. People who still call themselves feminists, I look at them with sympathy and I think you just don't have all the facts like I do, and that's why you're still a feminist. I actually do think that.
Yeah.
And I'd love to sit down and have a conversation with anyone who wants to have a conversation with me and hash it out. Like, why are you still a feminist? Why am I not a feminist? And let's see if we can find some common ground
Jessica
here.
verse 20 feminists.
Oh dear, I don't think I'd
No, on Bridges of Belief.
On Bridges of Belief.
I'd have to walk across the bridge to get to her.
Oh my gosh, hey!
Yeah.
Copyright.
You saw it here.
Actually, we should talk about it later as a potential content piece.
Sure.
That is true. Oh my gosh, which bridge though? Which
Wait,
bridge?
you know what? It should
One
be,
bridge.
Wait, it should be us three in the middle versus like 30 people. Like,
Thanks for the
we'll probably
backup.
start disagreeing with each other.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I don't know. I just okay, I'm gonna you said to be vulnerable. So here's
Be
me.
vulnerable.
Be
Be vulnerable.
I'm really scared. Okay. I listened to Hannah Spear, who's this podcaster of Psychobabble. So she's a psychiatrist that's roughly my age, and she's got like 3 kids, and I think she's Nordic. She's Swedish or Nordic.
Oh.
Anyway, she's very smart, but she does a lot of anti-feminist material and like interviewing other people who are also very anti-feminist, and I really enjoy listening to it because I'm like, yeah, that's right, we're right and they're wrong. Like, I do feel that in my bones.
Yep.
And I enjoy listening to it, and I think it's because the culture is so steeped. Like I was watching Morning Wars on Apple TV. Like my husband hates it. He was watching it with me and he was like, I don't want to watch this anymore. And I was like, okay. So when he can't watch it with me, I watch Morning Wars. But it's so feminist. You know, they were like so upset that
Are they bagging feminism out in it, or no? Or they're lifting it up?
no, they're lifting it up.
Okay.
So they're like pro-abortion. They think everyone's racist, and I'm just like, I actually don't agree. But they do make good entertainment, so I keep watching. It's well-produced entertainment. Anyway, so I think the othering I am definitely guilty of. And yeah, don't come at me, bro. Or sis. Have compassion that I am human and I enjoy, the fact that the countercultural material that I listen to makes me just feel like I am floating above water. Right, I just feel like I'm a frog in the water, and the water temperature is slowly increasing, and I'm about to be burnt alive, like with the culture, which is why I listen to Hannah Spear of Psychobabble.
Okay. So it helps to center yourself. Is that kind of what it is?
It helps to ground me.
So you don't get influenced by the other
me.
things.
Yes.
That's an interesting idea because I think we are shaped by the 5 not only the 5 people we hang out with the most, but also the 5 voices we listen to.
Yeah.
So I think that's podcasts, movies,
That's
things like
true.
that. And I think that actually, I didn't have this as a point, but I think we could talk about this for a few minutes.
Yeah.
The danger of echo chambers.
Ooh.
Because I was pretty like, I would say that I probably was pretty woke when I was in my early 20s. Not to a level where I would say I was anti-biblical.
Okay.
I still held true to a lot of biblical teachings, particularly around sexuality and family and stuff. But I think, I definitely would have probably identified as a feminist. And I still agree with certain elements. Maybe I don't even fully understand it. I do agree with certain elements of critical race theory, but probably not to the extent. I do still think white privilege is a thing, but I think it's more related to class rather than actually race. So in the sense that in Australia, a lot of people who are white will probably be higher class just because of old wealth. But then you have people who are white from the West who aren't privileged at all.
Yeah,
so I think it's more of a class thing. So that's where but I think I was really intense in that. And I used to really judge a lot of these conservative, I guess, influences. Like I thought Candace Owens was terrible. I didn't like Ben Shapiro. And I used to really judge people who would have preferred a Republican candidate to a Democrat candidate, even though I'm not even American. I used to judge people very liberal.
Yeah.
I'm still a pretty staunch Labor voter, but I have a lot of love for people who vote liberal, and there's a lot of great people in the Liberal Party. And I think that even though I may disagree, as long as their intentions are good, cool. Like we're all just trying to make the world a better place. But before I had this like vitriol, and I think what happened was, it's actually when we became friends, Kevin, when I got more into self-development, I started looking deeper into myself. I became more curious about the other side. And so ironically, I actually listen more to right-wing influences now, even though I'm not right-wing, because I'm always curious as to what they have to say. Yeah. And yeah, I just like, there's a lot of things I don't agree with Ben Shapiro or Candace Owens on, but there's a lot of things I agree with them on. Yeah. And I think I think they're just trying to do the best they can. They have certain beliefs. I don't think they're particularly bad people. I don't think they're particularly super moral people either. I think they're just people. Yeah. But I think I definitely noticed in myself, I really I had this almost hatred of them. And I thought they were evil. Wow.
The thing, as you're sharing this, what as our friendship has kind of grown, one thing that I can see that correlates with you, because I remember you were pretty polarizing back in the day, right? And you've definitely changed so much. And the thing that seems to correlate with how you've become so much more open to different beliefs is how much love you have in your heart. I really feel like that's the case. The people that are the most polarized are the ones that have a lot of resentment in their own life, and they have a lot of trauma in their life. So they end up with polarized perspectives because it gives them a high, it gives them a cortisol hit. Because every time
he's describing me.
Yeah. I think we all do.
I have that too.
We all have it. We all have it, but just some people just have it to different degrees and whatever. Yeah. But I felt like, Poya, I felt like in your life I saw such a huge shift, and it was when it felt like when you went through kind of like a healing stage in your life, and then that's when you actually became more open to different perspectives. So that's what I remember. That's what I see.
Yeah, I never thought of it like that. I think you're right. And I think for me, and I'm curious for your guys, your own experience with echo chambers, I think one of the reasons I was in an echo chamber was because I couldn't love those that I didn't agree with.
Oh, wow.
And I think we stay in echo chambers because it's comfortable and they're easy to love. Wow. And I wonder, has that been your experience as well? Where has love played a role in you being in an echo chamber?
Well, because I think in that moment, especially in the example that you're giving, the lack of love makes you crave quick highs. And a really nice high that you get is either being a victim or putting people down or and believing that you are right and they are wrong. It gives us a very big high. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like for example, even with me, when I see someone who's a really woke person that I really wouldn't agree with, come on stage and have a conversation with Charlie Kirk and he destroys them, it gives me a hit of dopamine, right? It's like, that feels good. I just demolished them, even though I didn't do it. But like, right? And like the amount of times that I wouldn't agree with you on something, and I actually do this. There's things that I don't agree with, and I'll find a reel that really like. How many times do I? I mean,
you did that this week.
I do it all the time to him, right? So there might be like a reel that I really disagree with Poya on a perspective on, and I'll be like, yeah, I got him now. Like, and I'll send him yeah. It's not always like that, but like sometimes it is like that.
I feel like I don't react anymore though.
Nah, you don't. You don't react that much.
Which is funny.
You're just like, oh, it's funny. Like, you know.
Maturity.
But you do like, you know, getting into the discussion, which is a good thing.
I do like a good yelling match.
But the point I'm making is, in moments of my life where there hasn't been emotional peace or stability, like that's when I'm looking for that high so much more. You know what I mean? From a dopamine perspective. I mean, this is just my personal perspective.
It's very insightful, Kevin.
Yeah. So I think that, I just feel like the more emotionally stable you are, the less likely you are to be so emotionally polarizing. So I look at this is such a general statement, but I look at America and I look at how polarized the individuals are, and you just see some of them and the things that they say in these arguments against Charlie Kirk. I'm just using them as an example because they come and give their views.
Yeah.
But like you see them and you just go, this guy has so much trauma.
Yeah, like you are not in a good place.
Yeah. That's a good thing.
I feel like they're just projecting. It's almost like an outlet for them to take out their anger on, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's like their childish side is coming out.
It's like I can't hurt the person who hurt me, so I'm going to hurt you because your views represent the very thing that abused me.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that's how I do that.
Target.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's actually a really great example what you said. Because that is so true what you said, actually. Because if you think about, let's just say, and it's such a blanket statement, but let's just say that you've got the typical kind of maybe transgender person that comes and has a conversation with Charlie, right? And some of them are really great. Like some of them are kind of even-headed, but some of them are like really emotionally polarized. And you think about it, maybe as a kid, they were kind of in a position where they had a voice that was just like, no, you're wrong. You're not allowed to do this. Like, you shouldn't feel this way. You shouldn't do this. So they had that experience, that emotional experience of someone just telling them that they're not okay and something's wrong with you. So now so now when they see Charlie Kirk, he represents everything that they hated in childhood. Right? So that's all the anger coming out. And I think it's a really good kind of understanding to realize that a lot of the times when people are getting triggered, it's not about the person. It's about their past.
So amen.
Because Christians do that too.
We all,
I think a lot of Christians who, and I don't mean to generalize, but the only ones I can think of are the really right-wing Christians who are like, Andrew Cedra.
Yeah.
He's just, look, Andrew Cedra, if you watch this, come on the show, challenge me. I'd love to have a chat.
We should actually get him on.
We should get him
on.
as
a guest, Andrew Cedra.
Yeah, reach out.
We'd be perfect, yeah.
But, I mean, it's like, from what I feel disrespectful when I say this. I mean this with all due respect, but I feel like what I've seen, the trauma of growing up in Egypt and risking your life for faith and being oppressed by this government, I feel like almost it's like he's taking that out on the woke because they represent that same oppressive force.
Yeah. Working theory.
Yeah. And I've done that. I think I did that I used to do that with white people.
Tracks, yeah.
Like I used to just like really, there was a part of me just like, with Christians actually, I used to really hate Christians because growing up, I never felt like I fit in that church. And I always felt judged by certain Christians.
Yeah.
So whenever like I didn't fit in with Christians, I'd be like, F those people, they're just judgmental people. But it's me just taking out my childhood trauma on them.
Yeah. And point, like this comes to like this is such a good conversation. And one thing that I've realized about a very powerful, like practical strategy when you are disagreeing with someone in order to really get through to them. And this is a perfect example with me and my wife as an example, right? When Lisa comes up and she says something and she's triggered about something, maybe I didn't do much housework or something, and she comes to me and she goes, oh, you're being selfish, right? Instantly I get triggered and I want to attack back. But in that moment, if I was able to be like, oh, what she's getting triggered about that's probably coming from her past and her experience. And I'm able to be like I'm able to look at her experience and just be like, oh, that must hurt. Like put myself in her shoes. And then I have this softness when I'm dealing with her. It solves the conversation.
Yeah.
And then I think like, okay, so let's just say if you had Andrew Sedra here and you're having a conversation with him, and I'm Andrew Sedra and I'm saying my most insane beliefs, and you're normally arguing with him, and you're clashing, but then you were like, oh, but you know what? I know what you went through. Like that must have been really hard for you, and I get why you feel like that. And if you bring that into the conversation and you show that you understand what they've been through to get to this point, I feel like you'll be able to disagree so much better.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean?
And you'd probably be able to find common ground as well.
Yeah.
Like, definitely listening to his interview with Ruslan, I was like, oh, I actually agree with him on a lot more things than I thought I would.
Yeah.
And I think it's the same with people like Ben Shapiro and Candace Owens. I wouldn't even say I agree with most of their views, but I can at least understand.
Yeah.
Charlie Kirk, totally disagree with him on gun control, but I can understand.
What are his views on gun control? Pro-gun? He's
pro-gun. Yeah,
Okay.
and he actually said, it was a pretty grim quote. He said, it was worth the unfortunate, a few unfortunate deaths due to gun violence each year to have the right to like have guns, something like that.
Wow.
And he then went on to talk about like ways to prevent gun violence. So he was saying schools should have armed guards. Which, like, okay, fair enough. You're offering a solution. But yeah, I don't agree with that. I think there's better ways, but I can understand being an American and that the right to bear arms and to have the ability to stand against a tyrannical government is really important to them.
Wow.
So I don't agree. I can understand why that's important to them. And I don't think they're coming in bad faith. We just disagree. And
that's a beautiful.
And it is sad that he was a gun death. Like I think there's a real deep sadness there for me. And
yeah, for sure.
And I think that's been used against him as well. Unfortunately, people have mocked him.
Can I just say two things about the whole emotional, because the red pill talks, I know this is not about the red pill at all, but the red pill, like for example, Rolla Tomasi, he sort of has his beef when a woman goes, well, who hurt you? Like, you're winning in the argument. You're bringing all the logical facts, bringing all the research. And she's like, well, who hurt you? Trying to make it an emotional thing. And that's not fair, because it's like, well, I'm coming up with a very logical argument here and I'm winning. And you're trying to turn this on its head and make it so it's an emotional argument, and it's not. And so, like, I do think, like, as somebody who definitely leans probably more right, but used to lean left. I used to go to Socialist Alliance marches. Like, hello,
I can't picture
reclaim the night. And I was a spoken word poet in Newtown and Redfern for years. I was like flown across the country to perform spoken word poetry. Like, I was kind of a big deal. Anyway, no, I really wasn't. No one would know who I am. Anyway, but my point being is that the left are often made fun of for being over emotional, and that's why they lean left. Right. Whereas the right, they pride themselves on being a lot more measured and calmer and rational and logical in their arguments. And I have to say that was like Amala Ekpanobi. I think that's how you say her name. She's the one that says, "I watched Snow White, so you didn't have to." Like those videos. Yeah. I really like her, and she's young and she's so smart. Anyway, sorry, I know we're running out of time.
No.
My point being is that, like, her story was very similar to my story of, grew up in the left, really emotionally charged, and then sort of healed their trauma. Maybe this is not her story. Anyway, but I'm overlaying my story to hers. But I healed my trauma. I think she healed hers as well. Started to see the light, started to see a lot clearer, and the logical, rational arguments of the right made more sense to her. And that's exactly what happened to me.
Yeah.
And this is after I got married. My husband married me as a leftist feminist. I can't believe he married me that way. Anyway.
Well, he turned you right.
He did. Because it was the whole
podcast. Yeah, that was good.
So funny.
I fist bumped you, but you're sick.
No.
You're too far and you're sick. Anyway.
Right.
But it's quite an emotional journey for me, because you know that phrase, and this is like again about another thing but quite related, but if you're not a communist by 20, you have no heart, but if you're not a if you're not a capitalist by 30, you have no head. Have you heard
Oh,
that
I was thinking of that
phrase?
quote. It's like,
Yeah.
it's also done as like, if you're young and you don't vote progressive, you don't have a heart.
Yeah.
If you're old and you don't vote conservative, you don't have a brain.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I really resonate with that because, you know, he sort of flipped, he changed my mind once the black squares of Black Lives Matter came up on social media. And I was like, should I put that on Dateability? And he's like, I don't support that. And I was like, why? And so he started to show me Candace Owens' videos and before she was a thing. And then, and I was like, oh. So, okay, so here are two places I'm going to land.
Yeah.
One is I believe in absolute truth, right? Okay, so I believe in absolute truth to the point that if somebody is willing to give me the facts, argue them rationally, and I see that they are making a sound argument, I will be like, okay, I concede. I concede to your point of view. You are making a sound logical argument, and that's absolute truth.
Yeah.
Right? I don't think I can refute absolute truth if it's staring at me in the face. I think that would be foolish.
Yeah.
But the other thing is ownership of your changing mind. So like there are things that I would promote on the Dateability Instagram that I do not believe in anymore. Things like you can be just as happy in or out of a relationship. I think I said that once. And I actually don't agree with myself anymore for so many reasons.
For a
like,
woman or for a man?
for anyone who, if someone really wants a relationship and they're not in one, you're not going to be happy 10 years later. Like, for example, there was this lady called The Single Woman. I forget her name, but I bought a bunch of her books. And like 10 years ago, she was the single woman. And I'm like, I hope she's still not the single woman now. I hope she's not single anymore. That would be terrible. But her whole shtick was like, you know, you got to be happy when you're single and God's got you and trust in him and blah, blah, blah. And anyway, so all that to say, like, I take ownership of the fact that I believe that then, but I don't believe in that now. And like, also I think that some people that Charlie Kirk debated, circling back to that, they are just, they own their decision to, I don't know, be pro-abortion or like believe in paying for expensive university when it's not going to lead them to a job, or like whatever they believe in. Sometimes people need to go through that journey of where they take ownership for that decision they've made, even though it's wrong logically.
See, but the thing is, the problem with that is it upholds this idea that what really everybody wants, which I get, is that everybody wants absolute truth, and people don't want absolute truth. Like,
like I'm working on the premise that everyone wants absolute truth, but that's my premise.
But that's your premise.
That's my position.
That's your premise.
Yeah,
and that's what is also, because by the way, people who genuinely do want absolute truth, they do have experiences like that. There is things that I used to believe in about limiting beliefs or about certain, you know, ideas in psychology that I no longer believe now. Like, I'll probably have to go back and delete some videos that I used to post about certain things. I don't believe them anymore.
Wow.
But that's because I seek absolute truth. You seek absolute truth.
Yeah.
But a lot of people don't. A lot of people are holding on to something because it's a trauma thing.
It's a bomb.
Yeah, it's a trauma thing. It's like, I'm hating you, Charlie Kirk, because you represent what I went through when I was young.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's what they're really seeking. They're not really seeking absolute truth. Not all of them. I mean, some of them probably are. But a lot of the times when you see like the amount of times that you'll see people who are like atheists or Christians argue, and they're like, oh, no. Give me a good point and I'm willing to listen. 99% of the time, they're not willing to listen.
Well, yeah, I think
They're not willing to listen.
and
you can see it. You can see it.
I think it was really interesting what you said. We only got about 5 minutes left. About how, from your perspective, the left are more emotional, the right are more rational. I used to think that. I personally don't think that myself. I think what it is we probably see. I know for myself, I think because I was very emotional when I was more left-leaning, that's the only, like, kind of the people on the left I saw, like the influencers or wherever. And now that I'm probably more centrist, I guess, I see I don't see center people on the right either. I actually see more inflammatory people on the right. I think I love Vincent O'Shannon on the Patrick with David podcast, but he's super emotional. He's like very emotional. I think Candace Owens is actually quite emotional. I don't think she's actually as centered as she probably thinks she is. I think even Ben Shapiro, when Ben Shapiro talks about stuff like, especially movies, he gets
Everyone is emotional.
Like, you
But
know,
are
everyone.
their facts
Everyone.
correct?
Well,
That's what I care about.
yeah, I guess I don't know, because I think sometimes the facts they present probably are facts they might have selected to support their agenda. Because I think I've seen counter arguments against their facts that seem just as plausible.
Okay, here is what I'll counter to you right now.
Sure.
Which is, if you show me a leftist point of view, like a leftist influencer who can be very rational and very sound, I'm willing to listen.
I've got two.
Okay, great.
I've seen a few.
I've got one,
Great.
and he's an old school guy, and I love this guy.
Okay, cool.
I think Jon Stewart. Do you know Jon Stewart?
I've
Daily
heard of
Show.
Jon- I've
I
heard of
love
Jon
Jon Stewart.
Stewart.
Jon
I've
Stewart's
heard of Jon
great.
Stewart, yeah.
Jon Stewart's really good, and I would even say his successor, Trevor Noah. I love Trevor Noah. I would
As in
argue
the comedian.
he's really switched. Trevor Noah is probably one of the most switched on,
Yeah,
nuanced speakers I have ever heard.
yeah. I've heard a bit of Trevor Noah, but not lately.
Especially
so
around
maybe
race
I
stuff.
Need to give him
He's
a bit
ADHD,
more
isn't he?
attention.
Yeah, Trevor Noah is
of late.
I think a lot of left guys are like guys like Trevor Noah, Jon Stewart. Oh, has Sam Harris left? Was Sam Harris ever left?
Yeah,
I think he is. Yeah, Sam Harris, like those guys.
Okay.
So I'd say check them out. But yeah, I think they're that's my
Yeah.
but
And what is the fruit of their life? That's also what I want to know.
yeah, and
Anyway,
hey, Jon
keep going.
Stewart's got I think he's got a family.
No, okay.
Yeah, Sam Harris got a family as well.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jon
willing
Jon
to
Stewart's
listen.
very
Yeah.
open-minded, which I really like. But anyway,
Yeah.
we should definitely go more into that on another episode. Trauma and how that impacts polarization.
There's so many more.
There's so many little
There's so
tangents.
So
many
many
going on.
threads to pull.
threads to pull. Yeah.
But to wrap up, I want us to wrap up each with an action step. We only got 5 minutes, each with well, less actually, 4.
Yeah.
I want us to wrap up on how we as Christians can set the path for how to disagree better.
I'll go first.
Yeah.
And I'll say that there's actually a psychological test that you do, and one of my old coaches used to do it. And the psychological test is to identify whether the first thing that you do when you meet people or look at situations is look for conflict or look for resolution. So, for example, some people are predisposed towards finding the problem.
Yes.
Right?
Very
Finding
true.
the reason why, no, that's wrong. I don't agree. They're skeptics, right? And some people, they naturally look for what I can actually agree on. Like what can I agree with on this, right?
Yeah.
But you do both really well, by the way. But
Oh, thank you.
but I think the biggest tip that I can give is to, in any disagreement, always find what you can actually agree on.
Yeah, I was thinking that.
Right? Like what can you agree on? And actually genuinely being curious. There's one guy who like I put up a Charlie Kirk video, and he was just like, how can you put up this video when he's saying that, you know, I don't believe in Christianity if it believes that people should go to hell just because they don't believe in Christianity. Now, I had all these parts of me come up in order to respond to that, but I was like, I'm curious, what do you believe in? And I was like, just getting curious about it. And he starts like that tough exterior of him, like this, kind of came off.
Yeah.
And because he was probably expecting me to push back, but I didn't. I was like, oh, tell me what do you believe in? And have I got this right, that this is what you're saying, that because of this, everyone, you know, like this is why you don't disagree? So just being curious, curiosity and finding where you actually agree is a really, really powerful point. Really powerful.
Yeah, finding common ground.
Yeah.
Focusing on what you do agree on. I think it's how I dealt with every bad boss in my whole life.
Yeah.
Focusing on what we agree on, or like
Hey, we're both
colleagues I
humans.
didn't get on. Yeah. Oh, you brush your teeth in the morning? So do I.
And that's about it. Yeah.
Oh gosh. Yeah, I am definitely needing to work on that more. I think sometimes there's I'm just going to say it, but if there's a dispute over land, and I'm not even going to mention the areas of the world that are struggling with this, but if there's a dispute over land, sometimes one person occupies the land and the other person has to go. I just think I just dropped something big there, and then I didn't really qualify it. Anyway, my point being is that sometimes disagreements end ugly, like as in leaving your home that you've had forever.
Yeah.
And that's really devastating. But it needs to happen, or else there's violence. So either one person gets exiled or someone dies, and that's terrible. Anyway, let's move on. So I was like, what the heck? Yeah, focus on what you agree, and I agree with Kevin. Thank you so much.
All right. So that's your point as well?
Sure, yeah.
Okay, sure.
Connection over correction. Thank you.
I love that. I think mine is, and we'll close out with this, and I think this is actually maybe the most important one in light of the Charlie Kirk thing, is we got to turn the other cheek.
Oh, wow.
We got to turn the other cheek. We can't be like, let's go to war. We're not going to war. Like, we're not going to go to war, guys. I'm saying this to my brother. I'm being serious. We're not going to war.
Yeah.
Let's turn the other cheek.
Wow.
Because that's what Jesus would have done.
Wow.
When he was on that cross, he said, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do.
Yeah.
He could have like come out and like he could have destroyed all of them, but he didn't. Yeah. And he asked God to forgive them. So I feel very convicted on this, and this is something I struggle with. We got to turn the other cheek. We can't be using war language here. We go to war by turning the other cheek. We go to war by washing the feet of our enemies.
Against the principalities and the powers of darkness, not against flesh and blood.
Yep. Poya, that is so good what you explained, because there are so many videos that are coming up about, like, I don't know if you've seen
I've seen
memes.
so many of them.
Like Christian, we should start the Crusades again. Like Christians are going to go to war. Like you're seeing all this, right?
Wow.
But remember, like this is the most interesting point. It's like the Jews back then, when they were waiting for a Messiah, they thought that Jesus was going to be an army general who overthrows the
white horse,
to overthrow the Roman Empire, right?
Yeah.
But he didn't come as an army general, but he conquered the entire world. He is the most famous person in all history. He basically splits up BC and AD. Like he is basically the most. He's the Alpha and the Omega. He is the greatest. He had the biggest amount of impact on history than any other figure in the entire universe. And he didn't come as an army general. Like, that is the most powerful thing.
No, he rode in on a donkey, he turned the other cheek, and he died on a Roman cross. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening to Bruce, I believe.